But
They were supposed to win that.
Y'all remember at the beginning of the year, I think both of y'all were strong for Notre Dame.
I don't think I said that.
I know this one on the end was.
I don't think so.
And guess what?
And he come out with some crazy stat. Well, they started in the top 10 every year for
It ain't crazy. It was
17
factual.
of the last 42.
A crazy what?
Stat.
No, but it's a fact. Statistically,
It's
factual.
still a crazy stat.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what
factual.
website you had to go to find that.
ESPN.
All right. Well, we'll get.
We'll cover him at the end.
Yeah. Welcome back to another episode
Turn the light on, Kyle.
of Cover 4, your weekly college football preview show. Jordan, why don't you get into us and talk about our show sponsor for today?
All right, so this episode is sponsored by Dillon Insurance Agency. A lot of people don't know, most do. New location, 103 North Railroad. So they used to be right there beside the car wash.
Yep, okay.
They moved. They're no longer in that building. So 103 North Railroad Avenue. Go up there and see Aaron Brown. They do home, auto, business, flood, renter's insurance. I just saw my house. I had to go up there the other day and sat down and said, Aaron, I need a little bit of renter's insurance. 10, 15 minutes later, gave her the address, a couple of things, had my policy, done, ready to go. Good local service. Can't beat that, guys.
Too bad she couldn't help you with your packing.
One question. Is she going to put insurance on all those shoe boxes that you had?
One question. Did the Cowboys
We ain't
win?
talking about them. I done told you for 4 weeks. We ain't talking about them now.
Well, getting into the show, we do have a little housekeeping to address before we get started. Huge congratulations to Mr. Landry and Miss Ansley Collins.
Yep.
It's weird saying that now. It was a great time. We do sure not miss you, Landry, on the show.
I'm
we
sure
can't
people
wait.
do miss Ansley.
Yeah, they do. We do miss Ansley.
I don't feel like Landry deserved that.
Well, he texted us before. We've been working all day. And he
Yeah.
wants to text us talking about
He got a massage.
being to a volcano, getting a massage.
Yep.
Well, I mean, let the boy enjoy
Yeah.
his honeymoon.
But Landry should be back next week, back up and rolling with our full Cover 4 crew. Also, was mentioned earlier, how about them Cowboys?
That's right.
How about them
How about
Cowboys?
him?
I did try to jump
4-1
on.
with a backup quarterback.
I did try to jump on the Cowboy bandwagon.
Why?
I soon realized, sheesh.
Let's talk
No,
college.
sir.
Let's
No,
talk
sir.
college.
Yeah, so before the show gets off the rails, we'll recap our picks last week. Steven had a rough
Bad week.
week. Rough
Bad
week.
week.
Granted, we
you
didn't
need
have.
some help with those percentages or that math? Or
No,
I think I'm
0%.
the one who struggled with the
Kyle was the
percentages.
mathematician last week.
Yeah, Jordan went 1 for 2.
50%.
Yeah, pretty good. I went 2 for 3. Only one I missed was, I believe, the under for the Clemson game.
66%.
Could be wrong, but sounds like it's a good week all around for me and Jordan.
Right.
Not so much. I mean, Cowboys lost, and he didn't pick any right.
He, at this point in life, he is mad at the entire city of Philadelphia. They put his Braves out, and
Whoa,
they beat
whoa,
his.
Well, no, the
Whoa.
Celtics won last night.
And they beat his.
Nobody cares about the NBA.
Celtics won last night.
His Cowboys all in the same weekend.
If anybody has kept chart of everything, Steven's professional teams are scattered all over the country. So going into the next segment, little review of last weekend. I believe Coastal's luck finally caught up to them. Steven,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts?
I thought that this was going to be the game where they went in and finally
Yeah,
blew a team out, and they actually got blowed out.
yeah. I mean,
49-21. It was ugly from the start.
Do you think that this is going to change Coastal for this season? Is this a reality check that Coastal needed?
Well, the good thing for them is they got a bye week this week.
They got plenty of time to get healthy
Yeah.
and to prepare.
I think, figure out everything. I mean, their offensive line allowed 7 sacks on Saturday. That's not good.
Yeah, I mean, Grayson
That's not
McCall
great.
has been Grayson McCall all
Yeah.
season. It's just the people around him and
Yep.
his defense have not. I mean, 26 of 34, 358 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He threw no interceptions, but he got sacked 6 times.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
that's
he's doing all he can do.
It sounds like that their defense didn't leave the locker room.
over
I mean,
300 yards rushing.
and over 200 through the air. They gave up over 500 yards of offense this week.
But their defense, you've seen it consistently throughout the year. They haven't won them games. They haven't kept them in games. Their
Right.
offense has kept them in the games.
All the offense is doing is outscore the opponent.
Exactly.
That's it. I mean,
And
that's
this week,
how it's being done
it finally caught up to them.
Yeah. And with Coastal, though, it kind of gets overlooked because of their high-powered offense the last
Yeah.
few years, but their defense the last few years has been pretty good.
Yeah.
Their defensive coordinator, he's pretty good at what he does, But it's just this year it's a glaring weakness for them.
Yeah, yeah.
He must have had an off week.
I guess.
Well-
The whole defense had an off week.
Well,
They
again,
get 2 buys, I guess.
Again, luckily, at least they've got a bye week coming up. Maybe last week woke them up, give them time to recoup, recover, reevaluate everything. Maybe they'll come out next weekend up and running.
Regardless of that, they're still bowl eligible.
Yeah.
Yeah, did go to 6-1 on the season.
But it's a reason that they were 6-0 and not in the top 25. I mean, people could look at that team and tell, okay, they're winning games, but they're beating bad teams barely. They're not a top 25 team.
Yeah, it set them up perfectly for the bowl game in Conway.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
play. Next game, Clemson continued right on with dominating the ACC. Did try to allow Florida State to come back in late in the fourth quarter. Jordan, thoughts?
I don't think that score it was actually very predictive of the game.
No.
I agree.
That was a good all-around game for Clemson this week. And at the end, defense got a little tired or a little lackadaisical.
Yeah. 14 points in the fourth quarter.
Right. That's not characteristic of a Clemson defense. So
Yeah.
I like I said, I don't think that score really tells the whole tale.
Yeah.
So.
It's almost like, Clemson dominated the whole game, but the score's not going to show it.
Sure.
And sometimes Clemson will tend to do that, where they'll get very conservative towards the end of
Yeah.
games, especially if they have a big lead, and
Especially-
you'll get some trash touchdowns at the end of the games that makes it.
Some garbage time.
Yeah, so-
especially knowing like they knew they mostly had the game intact. Another strong showing from DJ. I think they've granted, like we've said before, he has great stats every week.
Yeah.
But I think they finally have consistently figured out how to use him on a weekly basis.
Yeah, 20.
DJ has found himself.
I think so.
I think
And
DJ is maturing into the quarterback
Yeah.
that Clemson fans thought that he could be and actually knew that they could be. A lot of other people outside of the Clemson faithful didn't really see that as much, but it's proven to them that they
Well, even the Clemson faithful to the end of last year, they didn't want no part of him either.
Well,
But again-
that was some of them.
Yeah, but I also, I think I've harped on this before. They're used to Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun. Like, DJ's not going to be those two quarterbacks.
Well, actually, speaking of that, I saw stats today that year 2 for these 3 quarterbacks, DJ has more passing yards, more touchdown passes, and less interceptions than both Deshaun and Trevor through 7 games of their second season. So he's actually statistically playing better than those two.
And has he done more with less? Because I don't think he has the
think so.
playmakers around him.
Especially
that
receiving.
But both of those guys had on the outside, like you said.
Yeah.
I think that the talent is there. They're just, Shipley's been having good games, but he's not. I thought he was going to be a Heisman candidate coming into this season. And, he's had some 100-yard games and some decent games, but he's not like an ETN.
Yeah, he's going to bust out for those 50, 60-yard runs. He did have 20 rushing attempts, 121 yards, over 6 receptions, close to 50 yards receiving.
Didn't Landry tell us that Clemson's defensive line was supposed to be
The best. The best of all time.
They gave up 460 yards.
Yeah.
I will say, I haven't watched every snap of every Clemson game, but that for what he told us coming into the season, they are not the best of all time, and sometimes they have been a weakness for them. Like I said, giving up those rushing. This is not the first time that they've given up a ton of rushing yards.
True.
I think this is the most though. Like most times, Wake Forest gave up a lot of yards through the air, not so much on.
Right.
Could be D-line couldn't get any pressure on them, but and we'll talk about this later in the segment. We got a tough game coming up this weekend, Syracuse. It is as it was noted on Sports Radio this week, it's the 4th unbeaten team Clemson's faced this year at the time they've played them. And that includes Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Won the first game of the year. So,
Wipe that one out. That doesn't
needs,
count.
That needs to be wiped out.
Yeah, that one doesn't count.
but they're counting it. They're counting it. That's why we need Landry back on the show. We got too many homers.
We've been giving Clemson their
Yeah,
props this
we
year.
do. We try.
I don't really think y'all do.
I do.
I've been talking good about DJ
I feel like I'm the most fair to Clemson than all
Stephen,
of us.
I have seen the look of rage go across Landry's face when he has been sitting within 6 inches of him.
That might have been the week he wore the Marshall hat, which he probably didn't have much brain.
Not a lot of brain.
blood flow
I've
to the
seen
brain.
it come across where if the camera wasn't on, Stephen, he might would have said something.
Yeah.
He might would have hit you.
Nah,
Yeah.
I doubt it.
We might. Hey,
I've said more wild things to him off camera.
hey, go to the app. Maybe in a couple weeks, might have a brawl between Landry and Steven.
Exclusive.
Hometown digital TV app. Next segment, Stephen, why don't you tell us about this local segment sponsor for Dillon Community Pharmacy?
Yeah, this segment is sponsored by Dillon Community Pharmacy. I mean, it's always best to go local.
Agree, 100%.
You know, I think they even do some deliveries for, you know, people that can't get out of the home to get it. They have a wide variety of products. I know my dad gets his medicine from there.
Yep.
They're friendly every time you go in there. Like I said, anytime you can do something local, go local.
Agree.
And the prices, they aren't different. They're probably sometimes even cheaper than the CVS's or the Walgreens. So, I mean, they compete with everyone. And like I said, it's a face that you know and great customer service.
Good.
So,
Yep.
shout out to Dillon Community Pharmacy.
Yep, keep it local. Speaking, we'll keep it on the Clemson train. Like we said, they've got another tough test against number 18 Syracuse. It is away in Syracuse at the old Carrier Dome.
You sure?
I thought this was home game.
I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry. I read the sheet wrong. I do apologize. Clemson, 12.5-point favorite. It is at 12 p.m. on ABC. Jordan, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts?
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen this weekend?
What I think is going to happen is the same old, same old. Clemson's going to go in there. They're going to put some points on the board. It's going to be a wide margin. Towards the end of the game, they'll give up 10, 14 points.
Mm-hmm.
But what do I want to happen? I want Syracuse to hang 80 on me.
Yeah.
12.5, that's, I mean, for Syracuse to be undefeated in the top 20, I mean, FSU, granted it was at Florida State, but that was like a 4.5-point spread. And they had lost multiple games, and they weren't ranked. But you got a ranked team that's undefeated coming in.
I think you also have to take into account who Syracuse has played. Yes, they did play North Carolina State last weekend. They also played NC State's backup quarterback, who you can see is a drastic reduction from their starter.
So
Vegas always knows.
Vegas knows.
Vegas
you're
always
right.
knows.
You're right.
If it's 3.5, 4.5, okay, you can say this is going to be a close one. 12.5, Vegas knows. Syracuse they're a fraud.
But Syracuse could keep them close.
You just called Syracuse. They are an undefeated team, though.
They are, but that's like saying that Georgia Tech was an undefeated team at the beginning of the year. Of course,
It's not. It's not.
They haven't really played a tough schedule.
The first
so
game
far.
of the year when everybody's undefeated versus they've gone through 6 games with some of the same exact competition that Clemson's played, and you're going to say they're a fraud?
They're a fraud.
I don't think they're the 18th best team in the country.
They're not
I think
top 25 team.
I think Clemson wins this pretty
They're
easily.
kind of like Coastal. Coastal was 6-0 going in, but when you look at them, you're like, all right, they're not a very good football team. Yeah, they're undefeated.
Okay.
Yeah, they're winning games, but
You got a Clemson Paul under that shirt?
no, I want Syracuse to hang. You said 80. I want them to hang 800 on them.
See how that new scoreboard they got in Clemson, see how high it can count?
Yeah, exactly.
Another thing.
Bust the bulbs, they got to run so much on them things.
Yeah, I do know, again, they've played a pretty weak schedule. Syracuse defense only allowed 20 points twice this season. So I think the defense might be pretty stout, but we'll find out this weekend.
The best thing that Syracuse can do is jump out early.
Yeah.
If you let Clemson, if you stay close with them for a half or 3/4, you're not going to win. They're going to outlast you.
Yeah.
They're just deeper. They're better coached than most of the teams in the ACC. But if Syracuse can get out 10-0, 14-3, something like that, they might have a chance.
But I do also think at the same time Clemson's going to struggle if they can't get the ground game going.
And Syracuse is normally a thorn in Clemson's side. They always
Well, we said that about Wake Forest. We said that about NC
And they
State.
went to-
We said that about Florida State. Now we're saying it again about Syracuse.
Well, Wake Forest did take them to overtime.
Yeah.
And they are normally, it is, Wake Forest and Syracuse are kind of the same with Clemson. They're just going to take them to the end.
Yeah.
They're going to give Gamecock fans hope that they're going to beat them, and then they let them off the hook.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a hit or miss. You never know, but this is still Clemson's conference.
Yeah.
And until somebody can consistently beat them year in and year out,
Well,
they're
Landry
still
said
going
they've
to
already
reign
wrapped it up.
supreme.
They've wrapped it up. It's
I
over.
mean, if they win this weekend, I do think it's over because Notre Dame is not very good at all. They still have Notre Dame to play this season, but Notre Dame's struggling pretty mightily, coming off a loss to Stanford. Oof, God, Stanford.
Yeah, but
They were supposed to win that.
Y'all remember at the beginning of the year, I think both of y'all were strong for Notre Dame.
I don't think I said that.
I know
I
this
was.
one on the end was.
I
was.
don't think so.
and guess what?
And he come out with some crazy stat. Well, they started in the top 10 every year for
It ain't crazy. It was factual.
17 of the last 42.
A crazy
but
what?
Stat.
No, but it's a fact. Statistically,
It's
factual.
still a crazy stat.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Still
know what
factual.
website you had to go to find that.
All right.
ESPN.
All right. Well, we'll get.
We'll cover them at the end.
Yeah, we'll get to the next game. South Carolina coming off the bye week against Texas A&M, also coming off a bye week. South Carolina 4-2, A&M 3-3. Night game at Williams-Brice Stadium. South Carolina is the underdog by 3.5 points. Texas A&M's expected to have their starting quarterback.
Game clock's over here, buddy.
Yeah, you're right.
Cox by 9.
But I think the big important thing is we've got to get pressure on their quarterback.
Yeah.
How healthy is he?
I don't think he's 100% healthy, but I don't think they have any other options.
They have a 5-star,
Which
that
is
was
crazy.
Like, what, number 1 or number 2 in the nation when he came. I mean,
But again, like you've noticed, you see this with Jimbo Fisher teams even before he got to A&M at Florida State. Outside his 1 year winning the national championship, yes, they did win the national championship. The quarterback position's always been very hot and cold with his teams.
Sounds like a Gamecock team.
yeah.
Well, we don't have the expectations his teams do. We know going in.
What kind of voodoo magic are they bringing with them from?
I
I don't
want
know. Them yells.
And they're going to come
do.
to the State House and do that. Don't they always do that? Where
Well,
they
I
still
know.
bring them
I
on
know
the
they
road?
did it the first time we played them, like 10, 12 years ago.
That
We've
one's
also-
still hanging around because we ain't beat them.
No, yeah, we've never beat Texas A&M. I do think we do beat them this week, but again, we've got to continue with Marshawn Lloyd having a great game and Spencer Rattler also having a great game.
Yeah.
But also not forcing stuff, realizing he doesn't have to put the entire game on his shoulders.
Do what he's been doing the last 3 weeks.
Agree.
And
And
that's
Stay with
feeding
that
the-
game plan.
Okay, so what he's been doing the last 3 weeks is
Game managing.
feeding off the energy of special teams and defensive performance.
Right.
That's what he's doing.
yep.
I want this game to make those Texas millionaires, almost billionaires, start toying with their checkbook. Dude, just go ahead and buy Jimbo out of that.
Listen,
country.
if I was
do you
Jimbo
not like
Fi-
Jimbo?
Yeah.
I think
I
he's
just don't
an
like
overrated-
Texas A&M.
I think he's an overrated coach.
So what?
You look at the
I don't have a
recruiting-
list like Landry.
the recruiting
Why I
classes
like
he
him.
gets, and especially now with NIL deals, the amount of money they spent on their last recruiting class, he is underperforming with these players he's getting.
Yeah.
Like you get those recruiting classes, you get that type of caliber
Maybe that's
coach,
around his staff.
they should
Maybe
be.
player development is something that he needs to focus more on.
Might be.
Might be. And also, I'm gonna go back to the Clemson-Syracuse game. What are y'all's picks for those games? Y'all didn't.
Yeah.
So y'all are both
I'm
gonna
gonna say
take Cuse
Syracuse
plus 12.5.
the points. Yeah, I don't know if Syracuse wins because, like Jordan said, I think that Clemson will give them some trash touchdowns at the end that doesn't hit the spread.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm gonna take Syracuse plus 12 with the hope that
Yeah.
they beat them by 14.
Yeah. Going back to our, the Carolina game, A&M's defense allowing close to 190 yards of rushing a game.
Then we got to have a
That-
good game.
I think that shows
That
we've
plays
got to get
into
our
what's been
run
our
game
strength,
established. But we have to get creative in the ways that we do establish the run game. Utilize Jaheim Bell,
Exactly.
Juju, Marshawn. Heck, even if it's
Juice.
running, it's Juju. Oh,
Juice
Juice
Wells.
Wells, excuse me. I'm sorry. And heck, even getting Rattler to run the ball a little bit. He doesn't have to stay in the pocket. He is a mobile quarterback.
Maybe y'all can
Also-
answer this question for me.
Go ahead.
Why have
We may be about to talk about the same person.
Yeah.
why have we not been utilizing to carry on?
Yes, that's what I was about to say.
I think it's the
Is
same.
he hurt?
I think it's kind
was.
of. I think it's kind of similar with Josh Fan. Like last year, we didn't have a lot of options. This year, granted, they may not be great, but we have more options available to us. Jalen Brooks has emerged as a great.
Yeah.
Also, Kerryon Joyner can't throw the ball.
I'm not saying
No,
utilizing
not
the
quarterback.
quarterback.
But
No.
he can be a
Slot.
scat back, slide,
I know,
just
but
get in the ball quick. let him
we
go.
have a better person in Juice Wells.
Yeah, but
And I don't think DK's actually still hasn't picked up the receiver position. Because if he was good enough, he would be out there.
Yeah, I agree. But also at this point, they kind of zone in on Juice Wells. So if you stick Juice over here and to carry on over here, throw him a few. I mean, then they got to respect multiple people.
Yeah, but we got
And I think
Jalen-
health was an issue because this week Beamer
Yeah.
said that he is 100% healthy now coming out of the bye week.
Yeah.
And so maybe we see a little bit more.
I just like the edge that he brings to the field.
I agree. I
And
think we could
and
utilize
I think
him more.
That, like you said, there may be better players out there, but when it comes to one-on-one to being an athlete and the mentality that he plays with and just honestly, the attitude that he plays with,
Yeah.
I want that guy on my side of the field.
I still feel like you put
I
him-
want to find a way to get him involved.
Yeah,
in the
but we
football.
also don't
you
need
put
to
him on the field. They have to
Yeah.
respect
You
him
have
on the
to.
field.
but I also think you don't put them at the wildcat position
No.
because they know what's going to happen.
So did
We're
North
gonna-
Carolina
we're
know
gonna-
what
we're
was
gonna
going to
run the
happen
ball.
in the bowl
That-
game,
North-
and they lit the scoreboard
North
up.
Carolina
Well, that was
defense
because he
also
was
isn't
playing
very
every
good.
play. But
Yeah.
like the one play that we did use him in that Wildcat, it was a third down, a key third down against Georgia when we were, it
Yeah.
was like 7-0.
The whole stadium knew he was going to run the
Yeah.
ball.
If you use him in that position, he's got to hand it off. He's got to even throw a pass every now and then.
Yeah.
But you can't. Everybody knew, like, okay, when he gets the ball in his hand, he's gonna keep it. And I don't blame
Yeah.
him because he doesn't get many offensive possessions.
Think
But
wh-
I agree. We were on the. That's why I looked down there because I've been thinking the same thing. When he's on the field, you have to respect him.
He is.
Yeah,
and talk about establishing the run game. If you put him in that backfield and mix some things up, that will help you establish the run game.
I don't know,
Y'all wanted
but
to talk about the Cowboys. He could be similar to like a Tony Pollard.
Yeah, but we have that with Juju.
But what I'm saying is,
Juju ain't the one that got us to the race. The carry-ons who got us to the race, we need to give him the football.
Like I'm all for incorporating him into the offensive scheme, but I would rather use our workhorses that have proven each week.
What I would like to see the carry-on is you stick him
entirely
in the slot.
inconsistent his entire career at Carolina.
Right. Even if you say, all right, he's not getting the ball at all, you stick the carry-on in the slot and you bring him in motion, they 100% have to respect the fact that he could very well be getting this ball and he is athletic when
anywhere
he
he could get it.
Yeah.
They
They
could
could
hand
hand
it
it to
off
him.
as a pitch, as a short pass. I mean, he can get it
It could be
anywhere.
a flea flicker. It could be a lateral pass. I mean,
Snap it directly to him when he runs behind the center. It don't matter.
We got two offensive coordinators up
No,
here.
I'm just saying
You gotta respect him.
I mean, when he came
Yeah.
to Carolina, he was recruited as a quarterback, and you can
Yeah.
say, "Well, we knew he was never going to play quarterback."
Yeah,
Okay,
I agree.
well, he never once turned his back on his football team,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and year after year after year, you have seen him when you need him. Okay, what did you need out of him in Georgia when we beat Georgia? Okay, you needed him to
Step in.
manage the
We-
game, run the football, play quarterback. That's what he did, and it's just I just feel like he's not getting enough.
it might not be
respect
this
after
week, but
week.
at some point, he's going to make a big play for us this season.
Maybe.
He is, and
Maybe.
At some point.
But if we don't get him the football, he's never going to be able to do that.
Right.
I'm also going to be taking the under. Over-under line is 45.5. Both offenses aren't great. I think it's going to be a defensive game. I think it's gonna be a
Gamecocks in
low
the
score.
over.
Yeah, I got Carolina plus 3.5 and the under. Jordan, you got
Gamecocks in the over.
South Carolina
I'm just
plus
taking the
3.5.
plus 3.5.
No, because
And the over?
Joiner's, yes. Joiner's going to get in there this week, and he's going to light that scoreboard up.
I hope he does.
At some point, he's gonna
I
do
hope
something.
he does.
He
Even
is.
if he's a decoy, he can make something happen just being a decoy.
I'm with you. Because you know how passionate I've been since we got him.
All right.
He's going to do something.
Again, Coastal on a bye week this weekend. Again, like we
Good.
discussed at the top of the show, I think it's well needed for
Yes,
them.
good.
They need to take a step back, reevaluate everything, hopefully come out next week. Because, I mean, their schedule doesn't get easier.
No.
I'm pretty sure they still have Marshall.
It can't get much easier than it's been. I
No.
mean, they have played. I don't know if they've played a team with a winning record yet this season.
Yeah, they have.
Maybe one, but most of the teams that
They
play
still have App State.
2-2 or like
App State's going to let
2
them
and
have
3.
all day.
Yeah,
long.
App State. They
Oh,
play
yeah,
App State on a
App State is
Thursday. I
gonna
think
walk
that's the first weekend or the first Thursday in November. I think that's when they play App State. Next segment is going to be exclusively on the app, the Hometown Digital TV app.
and it's about to get hot.
Yes.
This is our hot takes.
Yeah,
Well-
this is going to be our weekly college review on the national scale. So again, head directly over to the app. We'll have a lot more content related to the national games each
Yep.
week.
And let's thank this episode sponsor
Yeah.
one more time, Aaron
Yeah.
Brown, Dillon Insurance Agency. Like
Yep.
I said, guys, new location, 103 North Railroad Avenue. Go see her for your home, auto, business, flood, and renter's insurance.
Yep.
And before you head to the app,
Yep.
that segment is going to be sponsored by Dillon Internal Medicine.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Yep.
you need to see a doctor,
Yep.
go on up there.
Yep.
I know they have a ton of physicians that you can go and see. Get you doctored up right, and then you can take your prescription and go to Dillon Community Pharmacy.
Yep. Thank you all again for watching this week. And again, head on over to the app
It's
to
about to
watch
get
this
hot.
the next segment. With that stating that, guys, that Alabama-Tennessee game, whew, What a barn burner.
Well, we saw the last play
Yeah, we did see that.
because we were at Landry's wedding.
Yep. Who
That's all
scheduled?
we needed to see.
Yeah.
I didn't need to see 104 points be scored.
No defense.
People.
None at all.
Muschamp was also taking huge ricochet shots because the leading receiver for Tennessee, even though he only had 6 catches, had 5 touchdowns. Jalen
South
High
Carolina.
went to Dutch
We
Ford.
let him get right on that hill.
I'm pretty sure, and I from what I heard through the grapevine, like I think this was last year, even before, may have had some character issues. I don't know. I know he was in trouble at Tennessee last year. Again, doesn't help when you see him. Again, only 6 catches, but he had 5 touchdowns.
He made him count when he caught the ball.
Yeah.
Coach 30, that was hilarious.
I ain't seen it yet.
You ain't watched that
I
one?
ain't seen it.
What's that?
The Coach 30 clip?
No, I don't know what that is.
What? It's the guy, and he's like, does the videos
See
and
how
they
you
show
got
a
me talking
clip.
crazy to Phil?
God, good night.
You ain't
two.
seen it?
No, I haven't.
Dude, he does. Oh,
Dude,
man, they're
well,
hilarious.
As soon as this camera goes off, I'm
right.
showing you the South Carolina one.
Okay. All right. Again, I don't know what it is about Bama this year, but I mean they've struggled pretty. Even though they've won every game, they've struggled. Even against A&M, struggled against Texas. They should have lost to Texas.
That's because that's how good the SEC is this year.
But also-
I don't think Bama is any less of a football team that they've been. I think that the rest of the SEC
Catching
is
up.
catching up. And I wouldn't say all the way up now because Bama still is in a league of their own.
Yeah.
But they are. I mean, you've got Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee. 2 of the teams of the East are in the top 6.
I saw something on a show or a podcast this week where they were talking about the one thing that's hurting Alabama that's always benefited them in the past is their depth. So when Kirby Smart left Bama to go to Georgia, he started getting a lot of those players that they would normally get
Sure.
on a yearly recruiting basis. They're now going to Georgia. They're now going to
Tennessee,
A&M.
Texas, yeah.
And especially the NIL stage era that we're in, Bama doesn't really have that depth that they had where it's like this person goes down, well, guess what? They got another stud right behind them ready to go. And
That's because these kids, they realize, okay, we're going to Bama, but we're having to sit there for 2.5, 3 years before we get a chance to play.
Yeah,
I
but
can go to
they're-
Tennessee, play in the SEC, play 4 years.
Yeah,
But you
the
also know
development-
when you go to Bama, or I'm sorry, I think we're going
the
in the same
development
direction.
that you get at Alabama
Yeah.
is ridiculous.
But
And
those
just,
guys-
just for the simple fact is, look at the running back room they had at one time. They had Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
I mean, they had multiple
Eddie Lacy.
guys that are
Even though he didn't do anything in the
contributors
NFL.
in the NFL.
TJ Yeldon,
And
Mark Ingram.
they all had to sit behind someone else because I
you
mean,
just need like one good year, honestly,
yeah.
and you'll be fine when
And you're
it comes to
developed
draft
and you're
time.
ready for the NFL.
Yeah,
Yeah, but a lot of those guys now have gone out, just like Kirby Smart
yeah.
goes to Georgia. I'm not sure. I don't think
Kirby
the Tennessee
Smart-
coach was from
Kirby Smart's staff.
No, he was.
Is not the
he
same
started
as Nick
Oklahoma.
Saban's staff. I get it. I mean, I don't think they're the same.
I think they have the same type of coaching, but again, just losing Kirby Smart to Georgia, he started plucking players that they normally get from those like Georgia, Florida area, and they're going to Georgia. They're staying at home and going to Georgia. Players that they might get like in Texas or somewhere out in the Midwest, they're now going to Texas A&M because again, they don't have just that pitch of we're Bama. You've now got to compete with millions upon millions upon millions of dollars that are getting thrown at these kids.
I
And
wonder
now-
what type of non-compete these coaches have to sign when they go places.
What you mean?
So, Kirby Smart or whoever, when they leave and they go to be a head coach at a different school, are they on some type of non-compete for the simple fact of, hey, I know you're going to find donors over there that's got a big checkbook. Why can't you shouldn't be able to offer some of my key players that like you big amounts of money to go with you.
Nah.
I mean,
I don't think there's anything.
Yeah, I don't
like
think
that
there's
now.
anything
I don't
like
think there's
that.
any rules.
Recruiting's
because the transfer portal has ruined all of this.
I think
That
it's
and the NIL.
But I think it's also helped where it's like, again, there's nothing preventing a coach from like just leaving. Some players do go to certain schools for coaches. Or, a kid may, I don't think they should be able to transfer all whenever they want to. But again, like if you may be committed to this place and it just didn't work out, I think you should be allowed to commit one time without a sit out. But if you transfer again, I think you should be sitting out a season.
There should be penalties involved.
But with coaches being able to move around as much as they can, I think it's right for players to do that because these are, younger kids. These coaches get in, they fill their heads with, you're the best, we want you, this, and this. And you get in there, it doesn't always work out. I think they should be able to transfer. I think the portal helps. It's a good and a bad thing. But I think the NIL especially, you have to be able to, somehow regulate it because it's just the wild, wild west out there. Tennessee's got a number one quarterback commit for next year. He's already got an $8 million NIL deal, and he hasn't even played a snap.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
What kind of money did they offer Arch Manning to get him to go to Texas?
Did you see the amount of money they spent on the recruiting trip? I can't remember the exact figures.
They had to give up.
I wonder if he actually ends up there.
State.
Yeah, he'll end up at Texas.
Even if Quinn Ewers is just balling out at the end of the year.
Yeah.
You think Arch is going to go and sit?
I think
I don't think Arch has the mindset that he's going anywhere to sit.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
But I
mean,
like that.
But it was
Texas or
that
Georgia.
transfer deal that you're talking about. Okay, let's just say Arch comes in and he spring ball. Let's just say, and he's just lighting it up. Is Quinn Ewers going to transfer again?
Maybe.
Transferred out of see that, and then you got to get into these players are just going to play at 4 different schools in 4 different years.
Yeah, I mean,
there's got to be some kind of regulation.
In the end, it hurts the player, but I'm pretty sure it was between Georgia and Texas for Arch Manning. If I was a quarterback that was a top recruit in the country, I wouldn't stay away. I'd stay away from Georgia because they're just not.
If you wanted to go to the NFL, they haven't had anybody since Matthew Stafford.
Yeah. That's actually contributed.
Have they had the talent at that position to have anybody go to the NFL?
I mean, recruiting-wise,
yes.
their star, whatever they're ranked coming out of high school,
but it's kind of
they just don't develop them well because Georgia's style of offense has always been just ground and pound.
It was old school Alabama, before Saban kind of tweaked his.
On top of these kids going to A&M, Tennessee, Georgia, now you got Texas and Oklahoma coming into the SEC as well. That's going to hurt.
And who knows when that's going to happen?
Saban might be checking out here soon.
All right, let's get to the second part of this. Where should Tennessee be the number 1 team in the country after that performance?
I think so.
No.
You don't?
No, not yet.
Who do you think should? Or
that,
do you think the rankings are accurate?
That will be decided the Tennessee Georgia game.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll be decided.
I think Ohio State is the number 1 team in the country. I think it should go Ohio State, Georgia, Tennessee.
Yeah, I think Tennessee's.
I'm just not sold on Michigan, even though they did.
I think Michigan is just quietly just being
but it's
one
the
of
same.
the top
But it's
teams
the
in
same.
the
But it's the
nation.
same thing they did last year. They were a top team in the nation.
They made it to the national
But
championship.
then they got the brakes beat off of them by Georgia.
Well, that's Georgia.
Everybody saw that.
They're good, but it's I don't think they can come. They're not. I don't think they're better than Ohio State.
Hey, that'll sort itself out too.
Michigan and Ohio State
That will
sort
itself out. We did touch on this in a previous segment. Embarrassing loss for Notre Dame to Stanford.
They're gonna fire.
I mean, there were talks of should Stanford fire David Shaw, and Notre Dame. Granted, they're down this year. They did have a decent win over BYU the previous week, but I mean, Marcus Freeman is struggling in his first year.
What was his contract?
I have no idea.
Was it just a 1-year contract?
No, it's not a 1-year contract.
Not the team to let this man keep losing.
No.
But
I think it should point out okay, maybe the coach, the players love and especially they hired him off Brian Kelly's staff.
They
kept him
loved him in the moment because of the situation that Brian Kelly left those boys in.
Yep.
And not to say that they don't love him, but when they made that hire, how excited the players acted. They wanted somebody that they knew and already loved. That doesn't make him a good coach.
Exactly.
Head coach.
He's a great defensive coordinator because he's successful at
That's just what
Cincinnati.
some people are. They're just good coordinators, and they just don't know.
And maybe he's just changing.
Like Muschamp.
Yeah, Muschamp's a good coordinator. You can't take that away from him.
Let's just not. I don't want to get started on Muschamp. I'm having a good day. I don't want to get all mad.
He almost cried when Muschamp left Carolina.
Probably so.
Oh, butter.
Probably so.
This is exclusively on the app. Y'all might be bleeping stuff here. I ain't never said
Steve, you got a picture of you and Muschamp together hanging above your bedroom.
Steven.
No, that's Brandon.
No, that ain't Brandon. Don't put that on Brandon. Brandon deserved that.
Let's go, Brandon.
USC suffered their first loss of the year to Utah. Granted, playing at Utah at night, tough place to play, tough environment. Maybe people will start
Who
halting.
knows? Because they play them games at 10:30.
I know, but maybe
fucking
people
night.
can start putting the brakes on.
I'm gonna be real honest with y'all.
What?
I don't know nothing about this. Y'all,
That's
y'all-
okay.
y'all roll
That's
on.
okay. But maybe people will stop pump the brakes on Lincoln Riley.
Utah, that's where your boy went. I bet you was pulling for him. Don't
I
lie.
didn't even know they were playing.
Good night, Utah.
If it's after 8 o'clock, I don't know.
Stephen, it was after 8 o'clock before we left the wedding.
Yeah, Alabama's still playing.
Well, it was 8:30 when we left to win. Our old behinds got in the car. We was going home.
Going to the house.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even though Steven's wife got us lost on the way there.
She did.
Say, I know exactly where
Still
I'm
just
going.
Laura's thing.
5 minutes later, guys, where we at? I don't know. Shout out Lauren
She
for
was about
driving
to
us
take us to the
though.
office. She was taking us to her office.
I was about ready just to get out and walk. About to get out and walk. Overall, great weekend in college football, guys. Y'all have any other thoughts, concerns?
I watched one play of college football, and it was that Tennessee kick at the end.
You didn't watch any of the Clemson game?
Nah. What do you mean? We were at the wedding.
No, we weren't.
We're not.
The game just
It
started when
at
we got
7:30.
home.
The last thing I was going to do when I got home was going to turn on Clemson.
He's watching his Halloween movies.
Yeah, I'd rather watch that.
This man takes a list about 12,
I know.
12 pages long and
Yep.
staples on it.
He
and
watches like 8 a day.
Like 4 a day, yeah.
He'll be texting me and watching this like, bro, I'm working. I
working too.
I can't have a movie because I'll just be focused on the movie. Again,
ADD.
yeah.
You got
no.
ADD. You need
No.
to work on that.
I don't get paid to watch movies some days. Again, congratulations to, if you stuck around with us this long on the app, again, congratulations to Landry and Ansley. We will see y'all next week. Have a great weekend.